Hello, friends. It is I, Robert, also known as the Black Viking. Or is it the Black Viking, also known as Robert? Anyway, I want to talk about something of importance, something that's it deserves a serious tone and a serious voice. And this, I want to mention or talk about ever so briefly the issue that we see in Russia over the past 3 or 4 days, and the fact that this war, which has gone on for 1 year and nearly a half now, and the response of the Western governments to what was happening in Russia. As it turns out, the manic and unreliable and disreputational mainstream media filled the airways with lies and innuendo and conjecture, and it was a whole lot of nonsense. And I have come to the conclusion that at the end they are not to be trusted. We have governments that are practicing censorship, that don't care for us to know as much information as we really need to know, as they've blocked Russian channels. And although these things are available to us if we search a little bit deeper, it is quite shameful that if you do not support Ukraine, then you support Russia. And I find this to be a despicable and deplorable way of thinking. I do not need other men to make enemies for me. I get to decide who my enemies are. I get to decide who my friends are. At this point in time, I have no enemies. There is no Ukrainian who is my enemy. There is no Russian who is my enemy. I cannot find an enemy, someone who caused me angst and disagreement, someone who unsettles my soul. I do not have that person within my sphere. I do not. And so I'm insulted that there are men who know nothing about me or about the men around me, about the community overall, who assume that it is okay to take our money and send it off to a bunch of people who like to get up to mischief and war. And this is something I am deeply, deeply opposed to. Now, one of the main issues that I have with this current situation is that it is, beyond the shadow of a doubt, an absolute criminal travesty that is being conducted by Western nations as they encourage Ukraine to fight a war that they cannot win, as Ukraine is running out of men. And as we watch the news of the rich and the powerful divvying up Ukraine, the fact that 3 million acres of land now is in the hand of multinational companies, that legislation is being crafted to steal from others, to reconstruct Ukraine. So the more that gets blown up, the more needs to be reconstructed. The more men who die in Ukraine, well, it is better for the powers that be, because when these men who once worked in their own businesses, the men who worked in fields, the men who owned farms, the men who owned factories, when they are no longer among the living, then they cannot contest the theft of their property. So these international companies have set about to claim the treasure of Ukraine. Ukraine has trillions of dollars of raw minerals. Ukraine has fields and fields and fields to feed the world even, these things now belong to the multinational corporations at the blessing and behest of Western governments. I do not support this. I will not support this. It has been, again, a criminal travesty. And the people, the men who are involved in these activities, they must be held to account. Because when a Ukrainian mother loses her son so that powerful rich men can become more powerful and more rich, when a Russian man is killed and his mother sheds tears of sorrow, they too had dreams, goals, hopes, aspirations, ambitions that should rise up against the needs and desires of those who call themselves our rulers. Anyway, I've said what I've had to say. We need to pay attention. We need to let them know that we just don't stand for it.